Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and the first thing I did this morning when I woke up was bought the dip. I think I got in at like 222-ish. I've been here a long time. I've seen this movie, but this time it's more interesting than ever, because this time I feel more like we're on the precipice than I've ever felt. And I can remember when it was really scary back in 2018-19 when the total market got down to like 100 billion. Now that was a time for big boy pants, and I put them on then. And I'm now, but this right now, I don't even think about this. All I think about is slowly accumulating any dips that I can. Now, what's interesting now is we've got something different than we ever had. There's yield products. I mean, we're starting to see it roll out with XRP. Not anything I'm comfortable with yet, but today my partner iTrustCapital announced that they're now going to be providing yield on Bitcoin. They've partnered with Coinbase Asset Management, bringing Bitcoin yield strategies to tax-advantaged IRAs. And if you look right here, Coinbase mentions iTrustCapital here. We're also proud to partner with iTrustCapital, the largest U.S. self-directed digital asset IRA technology provider, allowing accredited investors in USC BYF to hold their investments in tax-deferred IRA accounts. Together, we're enhancing the way investors save for retirement. So this is pretty darn exciting right here, folks. If you hadn't opened an account like I did, you can go and open an IRA or a premium custody account, iTrustCapital.com/XRP Army. And if you go to that page, you can also get a promo code for a $100 funding bonus. We're at 221. Just so you know, what I do, I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor, but what I do when things are like this, when we have these swings, is I don't try to like overdo it. I do when we dip, like today, I bought a few $100s worth, and then I'll watch it over the next few weeks, and if it keeps going down, another few hundred. I don't do anything crazy, because if the markets get really rough, you have to always have, not you but me, I have to always have liquidity. I always try to make sure I got plenty of cash. This is just how I think of things. Because cash becomes king in if we have a major pullback or that lasts a while and all that. So I make sure I got plenty of cash. But other than that, I just comfortably buy the dips. I don't worry about this stuff at all. And I'll show you a lot of reasons why. First thing is from Dom I've lived long enough. All it takes is one positive U.S.-China trade announcement to turn things around. Don't get too bearish. And that's the kind of things I think about. I also think about things like this. Every time you see a headline about Ripple, except for today, that is, every time you see a headline, Ripple never leads with XRP. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. They don't want to be seen as a promoter of XRP and all that stuff, but there's a lot more reasons than that. But don't forget, just because they don't say it because they can't say it. They don't want to be in a position to be saying it. There's a reason you've watched Joe Lubin and Tom Lee and Michael Saylor out there promoting Bitcoin, telling you to buy it and all this stuff for years. And Ripple doesn't do that.
We're going to see a dramatic change over the next 10 or even 15 years that are really hard to predict today, that are the foundation that will be laid upon that internet of value. XRP is part of the heartbeat of Ripple. It is the foundation of how we think about liquidity management, and a core problem that how the financial infrastructure works is around how liquidity is managed. Today, financial institutions are wired with pools of capital. They're called Nostro and Vostro accounts. And these are accounts that are pre-funded between financial institutions. And that's capital sitting dormant and not being used for either working capital or lending or what have you. By using a digital asset, you can enable liquidity in real time. This is transformational to how global financial infrastructure is wired. Every marathon starts with a single step. For us, the first step is getting financial institutions engaged and working with us, getting them to understand how the core technology with XCurrent works, introducing
XCurrent's the old product,
and how we can help manage liquidity. There's a lot of friction and cost associated with banks and financial institutions working with other institutions. We can change and accelerate how that works really materially, dramatically, and I think introducing XRP into those flows will take time, but as I said, every marathon starts with a single step.
So there it is. And then today we had this announcement. Ripple Labs is leading an effort to raise at least $1 billion to accumulate XRP. Ripple Labs said to lead $1 billion fundraise for XRP Hoard. I'm hoarding XRP too. Ripple, you can't have mine, and I said it here in a minute. Ripple Labs leading an effort, says the funds are to be housed inside of a new digital asset treasury, or a DAT, according to people familiar with the matter. The money will be raised through a special purpose acquisition company known as a SPAC, said some of the people, none of whom were authorized to speak publicly. Ripple will contribute some of its own XRP as well, some said. And then Zero Hedge, which never covers Ripple or XRP. Ripple Labs said to lead $1 billion fundraise for XRP Hoard. I love that, XRP Hoard. You better believe that's on a thumbnail. Sorry, Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse, you can't have mine. It's not personal, it's business. And I do mean that. So for a decade, we've been told Ripple's dumping on retail, but now they're buying $1 billion of XRP. Ripple's now gearing up to pump retailers' bags. Where are the Bitcoin maxis? Anyone? Surely you're going to come out and start saying Ripple's set to pump retail bags, right? I think this guy's being sarcastic here. The company that mints XRP out of thin air to dump on the open market is looking to raise cash to buy XRP on the open market. So funny. Now, I do find this interesting, and I think you should all find this interesting. So Ripple sat and watched all these Bitcoin and Ethereum DATs pump up their bags the last year and did nothing. That's all we've heard for the last year is all these Bitcoin and Ethereum treasury companies, right? Then the market crashes. Then all of a sudden, when the markets are crashing, Ripple announces a DAT to hoard XRP, almost like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Listen to this.
Yeah, so I think Bitmine and obviously Strategy have been able to buck the trend that a lot of other...
Are you noticing that, I mean, if I've learned anything in the last 10 years, anywhere there's a freaking disaster in crypto, anywhere where there's a mess, Bitcoin and Ethereum are somewhere involved, somewhere under the hood, every single time. Ripple's nowhere near the mess every single time. This is not a coincidence.
Digital asset treasury companies have suffered in terms of their price, especially relative to the net asset value of the holdings that they have. But do you worry that a broader bubble in the DAT space could negatively impact Bitmine if you see that bubble burst at all?
Oh, that's a great question. Maybe in some measurement ways, the bubble has burst anyways. Don't you? I mean, if I don't have the numbers in front of me, but my guess is 80% of the DATs are trading below net asset value now. So if that's not already a bubble burst in the sense that how would that bubble burst? Because,
I tell you what, I've been watching this for a long time. And it sure does feel like some of these guys, Tom Lee, Joe Lubin, Michael Saylor, it's almost as if we're watching a ballet that's been coordinated from the word go, and that these guys were patsies to be set up for the downfall for a long time. That's what it feels like as I watch this.
A crypto treasury shouldn't trade below NAV unless...
Almost like cartoon characters.
It was captively held crypto. Because, if you're a crypto treasury and you're trading below NAV, you can take action to restore your valuation. You can convert to an ETF. You could return all the crypto, so sell it and return cash, and people would come out ahead. So I think that, like, I'm not even sure I want to use the word bubble burst, but like I would say, is the market becoming discerning? I think it already.
What a bunch of mumbo jumbo. And then there's this, folks. That's the other thing. Everywhere where there's things that don't make sense, high fees, blockchains that are too slow, you find Bitcoin and Ethereum, but not XRP. It's been that way since I got in this. Listen to this. This is the same guy who's been pumping Bitcoin and Ethereum for the last decade.
Anticipate that you're going to be crashing Wall Street with the blockchain, with crypto. So we've been talking about going on chain for 12 years. Never happened. But now with the stimulus of the Genius Act, for the first time ever, people are starting to use it as a digital payment system. And in order to do that, you have to go on chain. You have to go on to the Ethereum or the Solana. You've got to go on chain. You have to sell and buy on chain. So over the weekend, and the reason I bring it up, a concern that I've had for a long time, and I've seen it before, is that Ethereum, the biggest blockchain, if you think about ETH, and what's really stimulated it has been that maybe 30% of all transactions on stablecoins are being settled on Ethereum or transferred on Ethereum or paid on Ethereum. But over the weekend, when we had real volatility for various reasons on crypto, Ethereum itself got stuck. It got overloaded, overcrowded. And the best analogy I can use for this is if you think about a single lane highway with a toll booth. Ethereum is a single lane highway and all the cars are transactions on it, but they have to go through the authentication toll booth out in the middle of nowhere. So they all have to drive through the toll booth, and it works fine when there's not massive volatility or massive volume. But when we had that occur, both massive volatility and massive volume on Saturday, it got stuck. There were too many cars on the highway, and so the cost of clearing one of those transactions, that's how you tell it's stuck, because you can buy your way to the front of the car line to get through the toll next to the fee. One of those transactions traded for more than $1,000. So imagine if you're buying something for $1.50 and you had to pay $1,000 to use Ethereum, that's screwed up.
Let me translate. JP Morgan and Wall Street and all these VC guys like him bet on the wrong freaking horse. And the XRP army's known it for a long time. That's the translation. Extreme fear, blah, blah. Extreme buying while there's blood in the streets if this keeps up, and I started this morning. Gold has become the first asset ever to reach a market cap of 30 trillion. I thought Bitcoin was going to replace gold. Gold now in full-blown Weimar mode. That's a reference to the Weimar Republic. Here's the difference. In the Weimar Republic, we didn't have digital assets, and we didn't have XRP. And look at this. Florida passed a law recognizing gold and silver coins as legal tender, tax-free, and can be used for paying debts and government fees. Effective July 1st, 2026, gold and silver coins will be sales tax exempt and must be accepted by all financial institutions. Sounds like I need to make a trip to Florida to buy some gold. Okay, we've got a lot more. We've got more on the acquisition Ripple just did, and I happened to find a document of a major bank that just happens to be everywhere you look under the Ripple hood, who has been using the acquired company. There are no coincidences. Go to daixrp.com to join the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join below any of these buttons. If you'd rather, or any of these videos, if you'd rather join through X, hit subscribe. We do the full video and the extended video with no commercials in there. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. It's almost like we're watching a rising phoenix in all of this.